All right, so let's talk about how to recognize and heal internalized rage due to childhood trauma. This topic is very near and dear to my heart because for the longest time, I thought that I was just not an angry person. I was so proud of it until one day it all exploded out in a healthy, contained way, thankfully. And since then, I have been so connected to my anger, and it's become such a healthy, enjoyable, magical, beautiful, enriching part of my life. And it's also part of why I named my company Rage Heart, because rage has been such a big part of the journey. So we're going to talk about rage and anger, how to heal it, how to release it, and just be healthier and stronger and more vital and alive. So my name is John Wood. I'm the founder of Rage Heart, like Braveheart, but Rage Heart, which is, I guess, relevant to today's topic. And like I said in the beginning, I mean, for a long time, I remember the story really goes, I was dating this girl at the time, and she would say, she asked me, do you ever get angry? Are you an angry person? I guess she was, this is early on in our relationship. She was trying to find out, I guess, if I was an angry guy, because she really did not want to be with an angry guy. Fair enough. She had her own reasons for that. And I was like, no, I'm just not angry. I just don't get angry, right? And I would truly believe that. It's aside from maybe getting annoyed at someone when I'm on the road driving sometimes, I didn't really get angry. It just wasn't something it just wasn't something that I did. I was pretty calm all the time. And then 3-4 years after that, a whole bunch of shit went down. It's a long story, but I got into some different practices, which I'll share in this video. And I remember when it first came through, like I had never felt rage like this, And then after that, it was still it's the first time it came, I was furious. And then it disappeared again for a while. Like I was angry, but I didn't know what to do with it. But then, I don't know, something like 18 months later, it all came up, and it was like being a wild animal. I don't know how else to put it. If you saw me, I think and I've had plenty of this since then, when it comes up, it's not just like, hey, I'm angry, like I want to tell someone. It's like a physical, like a full embodied, I'm gonna fucking destroy something right now, and I hope that no one's around to see this because it might scare them, and these days I have tools and techniques, ways of managing this, so it's not, instead of the anger going into someone around me, it's going into a towel, right? It's going into something that can't actually be physically hurt, other than I guess a towel. Maybe a towel has feelings, I don't know. Question is why? What's the big deal about internalized rage and anger? Why even bother? Or if you think about it, anger, if it doesn't go out, that's the funny thing about emotions. If a feeling doesn't go out, where, be expressed, come out of the body, where does it go? It doesn't disappear. It goes inside. It goes internal. And that's why I said internalized rage. So if you think about anger, when it's going out, we're angry with our parents, we're angry with the bully or the teacher at school, we're angry with God, we're angry with something. And its original intent was to be expressed, to go out. Right, to be, to be expressed, but that gets blocked up, right? Because bad things happen and we don't feel safe. We want to get angry at our parents, but they're so much bigger and stronger than us, and so we can't. It's not safe for us to get angry with them, so we stuff that motherfucker down. I actually had a dream about this right around the time when this anger was coming up for me. It was a dream where there was this. It's like I'd locked this giant warlord dude with swords for arms in a hole in the ground. I think that was my rage. And then I put the giant hole in the ground and then put this lid on the top, and it was just not going there. And one day, that guy came back. He's inside now. I'd say he's a bit more integrated. But yeah, we shut our anger down because it's not safe to express it. And then, of course, because emotions have a way of finding expression, whether we, if we don't express them outside, like I said, they express internally. Think about anger. If it's going outside, it's like, I hate you. Look, it's never going to work. Fuck you. I don't like you. You're a terrible person. Whatever it is. To me, all of that is elements of anger. But if it's not going out, it goes inside. And so it becomes internalized anger or internally directed anger, where we're basically always angry with ourselves. And we don't realize. We think that there's anger that we feel towards ourselves, which it gets a bit blurry because I think it starts to feel like shame. Like if you're angry with yourself, if I'm angry with someone else, I'm like, fuck you, man. I hate you. I don't like you. I really wish you didn't do that. But I don't get to tell them. And then I start telling myself that, hey, man, I hate you. I really don't like you. I really wish you didn't, instead of beating up on this person, I'm beating up on myself. Right? And I didn't realize that this thing I'm feeling is not actually about me. It's about someone else. It's just unprocessed. I'm just taking it personally because I don't have the context, the education to understand what's really going on here. Right? So it can manifest as, of course, anger, internalized anger. We might feel it as anger. I would say it manifests as shame. It's a very similar thing. Like the anger is internal and it's shame. So then that comes with disgust because the shame is gross. And we're like, oh, we feel sick. Right? There's also so much energy in it, so much force. You think about anger. Anger is a powerful emotion. Anger is, to me, especially at the higher levels of rage, we're talking about like the kind of energy that will destroy anything. Like you corner a wild animal and it starts to fight back because it's trying to get safe. Like that's not anger. That's rage. That's like it will do whatever it takes to survive. It's like a last-ditch attempt before it starts to play dead. Rage. So it's powerful energy. It's not just like the words that's inside of us. It's think about how we feel. It's going to raise the activation in the nervous system because it's not expressed. It's just going to keep spinning round and around and around and around. So we're going to feel anxious, right? We're going to feel spent and wound up. It might be hard to sleep. If it depends how shut down it is, but it can also, if we lose touch with it completely and it gets really repressed, it's like we lose our life force. You think about aggression. Aggression, to be aggressive in life, it's not always a bad thing. If I'm in sport, it's good to be aggressive. I'm aggressive in the gym. Aggression just means to move forward. It's like the energy of attack, of moving forward, of doing something. We need that energy. But if that's all blocked up inside, all twisted and out of whack, it's all self-directed, internalized, we're going to be all out of sorts. We're going to feel like we're missing our engine. That's how I felt for the longest time. I don't feel like that anymore. But I did until this anger stuff came bubbling up. So I think if you want to talk about how to recognize internalized rage, if you're dealing with anxiety, depression, if you feel like imposter syndrome, you feel like you're worthless, like you're bad meat, like you're not good enough, like no one gives a shit about you, if you procrastinate, if you find it hard to get things done, if you wake up in the morning after a really long sleep and you're still exhausted, all of these things are signs of internalized rage, of unexpressed rage, of rage and anger that needs to come out, right? All of these things, feeling stressed out all the time, not being able to relax, not having motivation, not having clarity, not having direction, not feeling like that, that force that's like carrying you, pushing you forward, drive. If you're not feeling any of that, if that's just absent, you've got all the negative thoughts, all the self-hate based thoughts, all the disgust for yourself, I would say that's all rage. That's all anger, and it's internalized right now. That's a beautiful thing to realize, to kind of go, hey, maybe all those thoughts you've been having, the negative thoughts, the I hate myself, the I'm a terrible person, it's never going to work, I want to crawl into a hole and die, maybe all of that stuff, it's not about you. It never was about you. Maybe you believed it. Maybe you felt bad about it. It doesn't mean it's actually literally about you. It may be that you were just carrying a motherload of rage and anger that is yet to come out, that is yet to be expressed. Now, I wish I could tell you that there was an overnight fix for this, that there was one vagus nerve hack, nervous system trick I could give you that would take all of that and just, remove it out. This sort of like an anger, energetic surgery. You just take the anger and take it out. Overnight, you're done, you're good. In reality, it's not really like that. One other thing too, before I continue, is this whole spiritual thing. If you meditate a lot, I meditated a lot, and I think anger gets a really bad rap, as though anger is sinful, as though you should just turn the other cheek. I think all of that shit is bullshit. If you're angry, you're not a spiritual person, you're not enlightened, all that stuff, all the shame, basically societal toxic shame around anger. That's what it is. Anger is beautiful. When it's healthy, it is the most magical thing. It is how we reinforce and set boundaries. It's how we know when a boundary is being crossed, Right now, when I start to feel angry, it's usually because like someone's either said something or done something that crossed the line, and I feel the anger before I realize cognitively what they did. You think about dogs. You go too close to a dog's food, or one dog goes too close to another dog's food, it starts to, bare its teeth. Probably doesn't look much because I'm a human being, but it starts to bare its teeth, right? If you get too close, the aggression comes online. Boundaries. That's what so many humans are missing. But like I said, there's not one trick, there's not one thing that's just going to fix it. For me, I got into something called nervous system healing, somatic therapy, learning to work with my nervous system and survival physiology. And I think, it took about a year, maybe a little over a year before it really popped. And when it did, I remember describing, I had a session, I'll finish this with a story, but I had this session with a guy I was working with one-on-one. And I was like, it was like kind of like a guided somatic therapy session. I said, hey man, I've got this thing wrapped around the sensation is like I've got a belt or a rope wrapped around my solar plexus. And my whole body is like sucked in like this. Like it's just a really tight thing. And just everything's like, kind of like I'm wearing a super, super tight corset. Obviously I'm not, but that's the feeling. Like there's this giant knot right here. So I told him this. I'm like, I think it might be about anger, or there's some stuff that was happening at the time. And so we started with a technique, felt into it, got it moving. And this thing started moving up through the chest, into the throat, and into the face. And as this happened, at first it was fine, and then the breathing starts, which by that point, because of the education I'd been through, was like, oh, my nervous system is moving into sympathetic. Okay, something's coming up, cool. I don't have to be afraid of this. And this very organic, spontaneous started happening in my throat. And it was like, really was like this thing down here. It had just gone all the way up into the throat. Eventually it came into the face, started to feel various sensations in the face. And this was where certain techniques come in, right? If you think about a dog or an animal, when they get angry, they snarl, they raise their upper lip. They narrow their eyes to focus on the threat. Now, it might seem silly, but we're mammals too. We have the same instincts, that fight energy, that fight response is the same thing that's running in cats and dogs. We have learned to suppress it. Part of learning to work with it is learning to embody that, to not just act it out. It's not just like a drama thing, but it's like being the animal, being the beast that you are. And so this growl comes up, and then I'm, doing this on YouTube is interesting, but just to show you so you have an example, is I could feel it in my face. I'd be snarling, so raising my upper lip, narrowing my eyes to focus on the threat, because of the training I had, was like, okay, this is all part of my fight response. Let me see if I can, seems to be how it wants to express, because I can feel it in my face, right? So then it's like, like that, for a bit longer than that. And since then, there's been layers of that keep coming up. And there's other elements where you can get a towel. If you have something like this ever come up, grab a towel, roll the towel up, and then try and rip the towel in half. And as you're growling, try to rip the towel in half, as if you're ripping someone or something's neck. So the idea is to channel that energy into something I prefer a towel to like a baseball bat. It's like a boom, like it's a quick hit. The towel, I can just you can really just put so much energy into it. That's some of the techniques to work with it. I will say though that because it's such powerful, intense energy, that's why I don't think it came up for a little over a year for me, just getting into this work. It may be quicker for you. It may take longer. It may be quicker. It depends on probably how much you practice, what you've been through, all kinds of different things. I can't tell you how long it's going to take. That was a very organic process. There was an element of nudging it, but it's like it was ready to come up when it came up. I didn't go digging or looking for it. I was just like, oh, there's this thing here. Let's explore that. And then that's what came out. And so that's the catch with all of this is there's not a thing where I can just say, just go right here, do this thing, and your anger will be gone. You really have to do the work. Take the time to build your capacity, to learn about your nervous system, to learn how to feel, to believe that you can do this, that you deserve to do it, that you deserve to be healthy. You put all that together, and then it comes when it comes. Okay? So that's how to recognize and heal internalized anger from childhood trauma. A bit about my story too. If you want to learn more about this, you want to actually go deeper down this rabbit hole, and you'd like to learn from me, you can go to rageheart.co. That's like Braveheart, but rageheart.co, and there's an email series there which will give you some more information. Sign up for that, and you'll hear about a program, and you can learn how to do everything we've talked about right here. But like I said, it's not an overnight fix.